So I wanted to talk about the concept that I spoke about a little bit in the last video about loving yourself and having loving thoughts and um, yeah, and wanting to like think the right thoughts. Well, you know, all humans, we aren't going to be able to think all the best thoughts all the time. Obviously, we have these, intrusive thoughts that are just, sorry, just a compass. We have these intrusive thoughts that kind of just, seem to pop in our brain. And this is where we use our discernment. We could establish why these thoughts are coming up. A lot of times they will have reasons, and we may not understand it. Sometimes we can find the reasons, but we have to choose to be able to direct our energy and shift shift our mind from that repetitive or that repetitive mindset that leads down to uh, tendencies and um, you know spirals that don't make your first of all make your body feel good and aren't healthy for your brain, but they lead to you making decisions like leaning on drinking or leaning on, let's say, sex, or leaning on these external factors to 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 numb these thoughts that we don't want to look at. So now loving yourself looks more like, okay, I feel this way. I see myself. I understand. Like a lot of people are going through these um, attachments, right? How can I aid myself? You know, so I can lean towards myself off of it first of all, because you don't want to depend on attachments. Our attachments is what leave us with pain or bad, like let's say sadness of feeling lack from our external world. If we really don't, if we don't, let's say, dwell on these negative aspects, and we're able to replace them with new experiences and new challenges, we can move on from the old, and create new, so we don't have to, like I said, recreate the energy that we once were. So the loving yourself that I mentioned is not always love and light. Is not always, oh, I'm going to ignore everything and just live life. You know what I'm saying? Because God gives us the free will to do everything. Like there's a path. There's a reason why. Um, having a clean temple. You know, it only makes sense. Having a clean temple allows this instrument, this body, to be able to be a cleaner transmission of the energy of source, and that what's all of us are emanating in our own way. But yeah, I really wanted to be able to just explain what I mean about loving yourself. You want to take those thoughts that were once negative or once causing you, let's say, fear or sadness, and be able to, you know, create through time, through, uh, you know, thinking about it, contemplation. Be like, I really don't need to be afraid about this, or I really don't need to be sad about this, because, at the end of the day, source, like God is with me. I have this whole, um, I may not be able to see it, but I have this whole, I have everyone's consciousness, that are, behind me, because everyone wants, this love, majority of us wants this love to be able to be, um, you know, uh, transmuted, rather than seeing, all of this negativity around us, which is being broadcasted. You know what I'm saying? So that's just something that's being broadcasted. We could choose our energy and put focus on something else to broadcast a frequency of love and harmony and connectivity, rather than one of division and hate and all of that. So, um, yeah. So I just want to really clarify that. Um, what else have I mentioned in the last video? Oh, I did mention about an eagle. So I saw, or a bird. I mentioned a bird. So I mentioned that a bird is part of us as well, right? And I was going through a situation, last weekend, and I got in my truck and I just had to go clear my head. Got in my truck, and once I got in my truck, started driving this Falcon, and a Falcon is very symbolic for me because my high school and um, college mascot was a Falcon. So I always had a connect, and I always look at things deeper. So I had a connection to a Falcon. So the Falcon goes and swoops right in front of my truck and flies with me, basically on the road, and then goes away. And then I'm thinking like, wow, like those movies where like an eagle comes and like flies, and it gets a sign of Zeus, or God, so it was very symbolic. Boom, swooped right in front, and then I was heading and leaving where I was thing, and then I went around the block, and then I saw that it seemed like the same bird perched on a tree, and then come in front of me again and fly, and then it was like off a cliff, and then it just flew away. Um, so that's where I feel like I mentioned in the last video, that God speaks to you in many ways, especially like during you know climactic events, or which seem like climactic, emotions get high, climactic events in your life, especially where you might be confused or contemplating something, just pay attention to around you. You never know what you could notice. So